Happy Monday, everybody. Hope your week's starting out well. Erin Schirm here, Executive Director of Meristem, welcoming you in to our Monday email practice. That's a practice we do in our organization throughout the course of the week. We recorded an introductory video that kind of breaks down some of the pieces of this. I highly encourage you to go watch that if you're interested and want to understand a little bit more of this process that I'm about to go through. So check that out. But I'm going to jump into our Monday email and what we're working on this week. In our Monday or weekly practice, we have 3 steps. We have a concept, we have a practice, and we have a value. The concept for this week is movement. The beautiful thing about the word movement is the meaning. It is a change in position or action stemming from the Latin root to move. And a beautiful kind of piece, if you watch the trajectory of the word movement, it went from being able to observe a physical movement, like my hand changed position, to I went from being happy to sad, to I went to a different thought. I had a new perspective come in. I realized that I like cookies or mushrooms, and I didn't know that before. A new thought came in. So we at Meristem have adopted a really broad definition of the word movement, which says anytime I shift my physical position, my emotional state, or my thoughts, movement has occurred. Now, we notice that as a human being, I can get stuck in patterns of movement, in linear versions of movement. There's all sorts of ways in which I can get stuck in how I move. And our process is, how do I have the flexibility, which is movement in its essence, to break out as needed to meet a situation that might require a different pattern. And so the practice that we work at Meristem as related to movement is, if I want to see change in my mental state or my thoughts, if I want to see change in my emotions, I need to move differently. And so the concept of movement is this overarching kind of thread that weaves through how I go about interacting with another person, with a material, with a concept, with pretty much everything in life. And so the concept that we're going to kind of grapple with is, where do I see that everywhere? How do I become more conscious and aware of the movement around me? The practice this week is presence. Become aware of the quality and patterns of your physical, emotional, and thinking movement. This is simply about observing yourself. No judgment, no fear. Just have the courage, you might say, to look at yourself and notice and become aware of the types of thinking patterns that I have, the types of emotional patterns I have, the types of movement patterns that I have. In the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about making changes to those. But first, we got to become aware. The first step is awareness of. Then we can make changes of. So this practice is simply taking time each day over the course of the day to wake up to how you're feeling, how you're thinking, how you're going about your daily tasks and responsibilities. The last step is value. Value is kind of what I live. In this case, the value for this week at Meristem is I show up. Dignity. What movements are you showing up with? Are you showing up with conscious movements or unconscious movements? So to live the value of I show up, to provide the dignity to myself and the others and the community around me, it is important to notice if I'm just going through the motions, or am I having intention behind every move that I make? Is there a linking up between what the environment is sending towards me and how I'm responding to it, or am I kind of just being driven? And so practicing this value is really about how much consciousness can I bring to how I'm showing up from a movement perspective, which is, what thoughts am I bringing? How do I, am I coming, if I'm meeting somebody and our points of view are in opposition, can I shift my point of view to where I understand where that other person's coming from? Maybe I have a pattern of getting too close to somebody in their personal space. Can I become aware of that and show up a little bit differently? Show up maybe being just outside of somebody's personal space, or be invited into somebody's personal space, or ask permission before entering into somebody's personal space before I go in there. Am I showing up frustrated? Am I showing up happy? Am I showing up, what am I bringing emotionally to the situation that may or may not be supporting that? All of that has to do with showing up. So to just go through, the concept is movement, and we're really trying to explore and see how much we can understand about the world of movement around us and how everything is moving. The practice is, how do I become aware? How can I spend intentional time to wake up to the way in which I'm moving in the three facets of myself? And the value is, how am I living it? Am I really showing up consciously, or am I showing up kind of asleep? And again, no judgment. This practice is simply about getting to know yourself, and as we say at Meristem, awaken what's possible. Don't try to do more than that. Just see what's possible to become aware and to wake up to. So as we end with, it starts with me. Thanks for joining us in our Monday practice. We do this because we believe that in practicing self-awareness, I can make the changes to the social life that model what we're looking for, and then other people pick that up, and through a collective effort, real change occurs. And so we invite you to join us in that practice. Have a great week. We'll see you next week for next Monday's practice.